Hello and welcome to News Center. I'm Parikshit Luthra. The top story this evening, US President Donald Trump's new tariff regime takes effect today. More than 90 countries face higher tariffs on their exports to the US. In a post on social media, President Trump claimed that billions of dollars were now flowing into the US due to hike in tariffs. Exports from India face a 25% tariff starting today. This will double to 50% from the 27th of August after President Trump penalized India for importing oil from Russia. Textiles, leather, engineering goods, agri and seafood, if needed. The Trump administration has given India a 21-day window for further negotiations. Sources have said that the Indian government is working towards finding a solution for a win-win deal. To take this forward, we're now joined by Surjit Bhalla, who is an economist and former executive director for the International Monetary Fund. Mr. Bhalla, thank you very much for joining us on the program. How is this 50% tariff going to impact the Indian economy?
Well, before we decide how it's going to impact, as you yourself mentioned, it's a long road to 50% becoming effective. I personally don't think we will see 50%. There's plenty of time for negotiations. We have been negotiating for the last 5-6 months, and this is part of a chess game. Indians are the best chess players in the world right now, and whether men or women. And I hope and believe that our negotiators are also playing a chess game.
Right. But do you also believe that this current crisis is an opportunity to possibly usher in the next phase of reforms, maybe open up our markets more?
100%. I have said this from even before Trump's reciprocal tariffs entered the picture. We should be reforming, that it is in our interest to do reforms, and that remains or should remain the only guiding principle as far as we are concerned. The rest is, as I said, noise, optics, and a chess game. We should be singularly focused on bringing about economic reforms, particularly on the trade side. Indeed, it's an area, and agriculture, the two areas that have been immune, and especially agriculture, from any reform whatsoever for the last 35 years. So this is an opportunity, and I hope we realize it. And it's a difference, if I can add, between us, India growing at 6.5%, 6 to 6.5, give or take, and India growing somewhere 7.5 to 8.5% per annum in terms of GDP growth. That's the difference.
Right.
If we are
Mr. Bhalla, you spoke about...
Yeah. Go ahead.
You spoke about agriculture, Mr. Bhalla, and, we have been drawing a red line, saying that we will not bring agriculture and dairy to the negotiating room at all. Many decades have gone by, and this has been a problem that negotiators from different countries have had with India. Do you think we can now comfortably open up our agri and dairy markets?
Well, rice exports have been a big success. So I don't know where we come up with the myth that agricultural exports or opening up agriculture will hurt India or the farmers. Mind you, I would like to remind the listeners and you that, we didn't, after the failed agricultural reforms, the Supreme Court ordered a survey of farmers in India to see whether they were in support of the farm laws. And something like 87% said they were. So I think, who are we protecting? If the farmers wanted reforms, all of them, 87% is virtually all, except a few large farmers and interest groups, we should be opening up. I think it is a win-win. Agriculture, we are now in 2025. We have surplus grain. We are exporting, and our exports to the US in terms of agriculture has been a success story in recent years. So why not try and open it up? So I think the big mystery to me is this projected belief that opening up of agriculture will be bad for India or bad for the farmers. I think it's just not supported by any empirical evidence whatsoever. It's a belief, but we can believe whatever we want to. But I think if we were to open up agriculture, and there's nobody saying we should be 100% opening up tomorrow, but we should have a graduated scale with some large cuts in the beginning and large reforms in the beginning, and then move to a open agricultural system, just like we have. Nobody is telling us on what to do on software. Nobody is telling us on what to do on other export items that we have. And I quite honestly don't understand why it's being projected that the farmers are best helped by the kind of protection that we are providing them. Just the contrary. So, that is why I've been saying this is a huge opportunity for India, for the farmers to bring about reforms. Something, as you mentioned, has not been touched in agriculture for a long, long time.
When you speak about trade, sir, the sense that we get that we're willing to open up India to industrial goods from the US almost at zero duty. When it comes to reforms on trade, what do you think is the kind of reform that we need? The reforms that we had in the early 90s, that ushered in decades of growth. What is this kind of reform that we need in trade to open up markets to win global markets?
Well, we need to open up trade, which means less tariffs, which is exactly what Trump is, coincidentally, Trump is arguing. But just because Trump is saying it doesn't mean he's not telling what is accurate. So we need to lower tariffs, and at the same time, we need to deregulate. And this is something that the government itself has been saying. In the budget on February 1st, they went out of the way to say that deregulation, labor market reforms, deregulation, and this is independent of tariffs, was the number one agenda item as far as the government was concerned. So, it's not just tariffs that need to be changed. We have to look at the fact that our manufacturing, share of manufacturing, has stayed stagnant for decades. And this is where we have a lot of low-hanging fruit if we were to cooperate with reforms. So a lot of low-hanging fruit in manufacturing. And, what I like to point out is, look, what is our big success story? Our big success story is software. Our big success story is pharmaceuticals. Now, the government has had very little role to play in the promotion of pharmaceuticals and especially in the promotion of software. That is the strength of India, that we have been able to do so well, a world leader in software and pharmaceuticals. So if we can do it there on our own, maybe less government involvement in policy making will help us to do the reforms and help us to go forward in manufacturing and in agriculture, where there's massive government intervention at all levels. So the lesson is less government intervention, the better off the country will be. And indeed, that is what Mr. Modi had promised in 2014, maximum governance. So, or minimum, I guess, whatever the slogan
Right.
was. Yeah, just
Mr. Bhalla,
intervention by the government will do us a lot of good.
Mr. Bhalla, the argument also being made is that Trump is not painting the right picture. When he's calling India the tariff king, he's not completely right, because India's agriculture subsidies, tariffs, average weighted tariffs are similar or even lower to some of the other South Asian economies. What do you think is the guiding principle that India needs to follow when we make these comparisons and try to defend ourselves?
Well, we have to be very careful when we say what our level of tariffs are. So it is not the tariff that is actually paid, which is you look at the total volume of imports and thereby decide. Many of the imports, many of the tariffs are non-price tariffs. So therefore, that's where a lot of the intervention is, and by the government, and what hurts the economy much more than a tariff rate going from 10 to 15 or 15 to 25 or vice versa. So it's a non-tariff barriers, which are the real killer for growth and the real killer of reforms. So, but I think once you have, now that Trump has made tariffs as the number